Today is Monday, May 20th, 2024. This is episode 131 of the Tech Jawn. From Columbus, Ohio, I'm your host, Robb Dunewood.
And coming out of Philly, it's your girl, TechLifeSteph.
And out of Atlanta, this is Terrance Gaines, a.k.a. Brother Tech, a.k.a. Pacers win. I've been rooting for the Pacers to win, and they finally pushed past the New York Knicks. Now they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now they got to play the Celtics. So I'm proud of them for getting to this next stage. I haven't really been promoting my Pacers gear, but I got some stuff. So I've been watching them. So I make sure to show my support to my Pacers for getting past the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I have been enjoying the playoffs. They have for the most part been pretty good, and I was enjoying that Knicks game. I was sitting there watching it, and as bad as I feel for Jalen Brunson, who broke his hand in the game, I don't know that if he wouldn't have broke his hand that the Pacers weren't going to win that. They just seemed like they had the right stuff yesterday in that game before he broke his hand. But once that happened, it was a wrap. Now, sadly for you, Terrance, if this goes down like I predict, I think they're going to get mollywopped by the Celtics.
I don't know, man. Pacers play fast, and the Celtics I'm not Jalen Brunson. What's that? Jason Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
He's iffy, man. He shows up, but it don't be consistent, dog. They might squeeze one or two past them. So
we will see, and hopefully it won't be. Hopefully that'll go 6-7 games, and it'll be another good series, so we can go from there. But TechLifeSteph, folks don't forgot your face.
Back
People
in
were
the
sending me
building.
messages asking if you was all right. Is Steph all right? I saw her on Instagram, but that could have been pre-recorded. Is she cool? So you got
I'm
fans.
cool.
So they was checking
I'm
up on you.
cool. Yeah, man. And again, apologies to y'all, apologies to everybody. I literally
you do not have to
forgot.
apologize for making money. We understand.
Well, listen, I
understand
do
that.
have to keep my lights on. But I totally just forgot that I wasn't going to be here last week until the very last minute, and I usually try to at least mitigate that kind of thing in advance, and I just forgot. I ain't gonna lie.
Nah, it's cool.
There's a lot going on last weekend into Mother's Day weekend and all of that. So
you got a new
feel
job,
like
right?
I'm finally recovering. Yeah, I got a new job. Philly Tech Week is over. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on, and I'm coming up for air right now. But to Terrance's point, I am the new tech correspondent for Merritt Street Media. Dr. Phil launched his own television network at the beginning of April, and so yeah, I've been doing segments there. I actually will be doing a segment tomorrow morning at 9:50, kind of 5 travel apps everybody needs for the upcoming Memorial Day weekend. I do believe Merit is actually on Xfinity. I don't think it's on Verizon yet, but it is on Xfinity and DirecTV and Dish Network, and they have their own app as well, so you can download the Merit Plus app to your smart TV and watch it that way as well.
All right.
Yeah, send us some links. We will update your bio page on the techjawn.com website. But before we get into it, y'all, we can't gloss over this. You hosted Philly Tech Week, so you got to let us know what that was like, what was going on, all the cool stuff you heard about. We're gonna just take the top of the show and just talk about that.
It was crazy. I was an official Philly Tech Week ambassador. And so I went to probably 8 different events over the course of the week. I think I was at an event a day, basically. I did 2 on that Saturday, but I was at kind of an event every day. And it was really around sort of what Philadelphia's tech ecosystem looks like now, what it can look like in the future, what Philadelphia needs to do to kind of, get itself up there with the Silicon Valleys of the world. Because Philly actually does have a fairly robust tech community, but it is very niche in life sciences mainly, and a lot of more enterprise stuff as opposed to
straight to consumer.
Yeah, the sexy startup stuff that you're used to seeing coming out of the Valley. It's a lot more practical tech stuff, if that makes any sense. But I know one of the council people in Philadelphia is trying to position Philly as a big esports hub. So they're doing a lot of stuff around trying to build that up in the region. I moderated an AI panel on Wednesday about AI in the Black community, and what we need to do to make sure we don't get left behind and how we can get more involved and different stuff like that, which was a really, really sold out, standing room only venue. Really great conversation about how Black folks can not miss the wave, and not be afraid of the technology and kind of embrace it, and not be catching up like we kind of tend to always seem to do. So that was a great conversation, and it just overall just a really good week, a really good week. Like I said, it was a lot because I was kind of required to capture content at all the events, and running home, editing at night, and posting, and this and that and the third. So it was a lot going on, but it was good. It was really good. I had a great time.
Well, glad to have you back. As I was telling you in the green room, fans were checking in on you. It's like, is Steph okay? Is she?
I
It's
appreciate
like
y'all.
we thought she was only going to be gone 1 week. It's now 2. So,
I know.
yeah, me and Terrance. Well, me and Terrance miss.
Y'all held it down though.
You might get
y'all
a message.
TechLifeSteph
miss. It's like the internet reacts. It's like, where's Steph at? Thought she was going to be back. So,
listen, y'all was holding it down though.
Yeah. So, y'all, before we get into the tech story, just want to let everybody know, if you would like to support the Tech Jawn, you can do so in a myriad of ways. The one we're going to talk about today is Patreon. So if you were to head over to patreon.com/the Tech Jawn, that is the Tech JAWN, you will find, you'll find us there with a few tiers. I think we have 3 or 4 tiers over there. Any one of those tiers will get you access to our live stream and after party. So once again, the Tech Jawn is not just a podcast. We also are a live stream, and there are folks who are watching us right now live in YouTube. To get access to that, you've got to become a patron. And also, if you are listening and you don't want to hear ads in the middle, beginning, and end of the show, you can sign up to a tier there that would actually let you get a ad-free stream. So once again, head over to patreon.com/the Tech Jawn, the Tech JAWN, where you can become a patron. So with that, want to kick it off with, since we are well into political season, this is probably a good one to talk about here. And I think, Terrance, did you stick this one in? Why political deepfakes work?
Yes.
So why don't you go ahead and tell us on what's going there? I actually read this, and it's really interesting, but I want to get your take on it.
Well, so basically, the story starts in India. They tell a story of this guy. I can't think of his name right now, but he starts off learning different things. One of the things he decided to learn around COVID was to learn how to, use AI. And what he would do is he would take regular people and put their faces on actors in different movies or whatever, and that would get him, that end up being popular to where a lot of people were requesting that stuff. So he would go, like for almost like Cameo. You know how you can go on Cameo and pay a celebrity to say happy birthday or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
He was kind of in reverse, to where he would take your voice, your audio, your face, put it on like a superstar, put it in a movie, and for X amount of dollars, you could be in, I don't know, Inception or something, for example, or in the Marvels or whatever the case may be. Popular. Of course, politicians get a hold of what he can do, and he ends up doing deep fakes for political campaigns for potential candidates. And basically, it didn't start off nefarious, and it really doesn't even go into the nefarious parts of deep fakes and fakes. But basically, what they're doing over in India now, and what this guy is popular at doing, which it seems like India is okay with, is putting up deep fakes. So say I'm a political candidate. I only speak English. I don't speak Indian. I don't speak any of the local dialects. I don't speak anything but English. But what I can do is I can, say the words, stay perfectly still, say the words. They can use my face. They can use my audio and convert that to whatever language that I want to speak out to. So that's the breadth of what they're using it for. But what they're also using it for is, and I made to put this quote out, which seems to be the most effective. And I kind of wanted to relay that to America as to how we see this potentially working, and of course, all the pitfalls, but how AI could maybe be used in other ways that we're not thinking about outside of just spreading misinformation. So I just wanted to read this quote. While urban voters perceive unsolicited calls like phone calls as a nuisance, the political consultants we spoke to say rural users often feel an elevated sense of importance after receiving calls from those in high positions. Quote, voters usually want the candidate to approach them directly. They want the candidate to talk directly to them. And when the candidate can't go door to door, AI calls become a good way to reach them. So basically, what they're doing is, in addition to being able to speak multiple different languages to get their point across to maybe their constituents who speak a different language, they're also using this to reach out to voters who they feel like, if I were to contact you directly, say, hey, I'm Congressman Terrance Gaines, I'm running for U.S. Senate, yada, 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 versus them just seeing an ad. And we're talking about rural people, people who are not necessarily plugged into the latest and greatest technology, not always watching the news, not always plugged in, right? But these political candidates are reaching out to them and saying, hey, my name is Terrance Gaines. How you been doing today, Stephanie? Put the little keyword, right. I know you've been a long registered whatever, and you've been voting this way. And I just wanted to reach out to you personally and let you know I'm looking forward to your vote come whatever the case may be. What they're saying in India is that is effectively working even if they're not talking to the actual person. So these people are picking up these phone calls, getting these text messages, voice auto, whatever the case may be. And these people, they're hearing directly from the candidate talk to them directly by not knowing it's a clone. So I saw that quote and I was like, I wonder if that would work over here in America.
Oh, it would absolutely work. Yeah. And somebody's probably already working on doing it. It's crazy. It's the first question I had was like, should that be called a deep fake?
Yeah, because this is actually honest
really,
use of it.
right.
I mean, they're not being nefarious.
It's not necessarily it's fake, but I think deep fake has such a negative connotation
right,
attached to it. They probably should come up with a different name for this, considering it's a well-known practice there.
Over in India, it is.
For them. And and I think they should still. What it sounds like is they're not disclosing it, though.
No, they're not.
Which is a problem. You know what I mean? I think they should be disclosing it. I get why they're not, because if somebody thinks they're actually talking to this candidate and that is going to in turn make them vote for them,
right.
All the better. And I also get the fact that there are a billion with a B people in India, so you can't get to everybody. So this does really help people, kind of narrow down the amount of work that they have to do. I can appreciate that as a specific use case for India, but I do still think you should have to actually disclose that you're doing this and that this person is, listening
pre-recorded, whatever the case
because
may be.
I don't even think it would make a difference. I don't think people would care. Even if you said it was at the beginning of the call, this is a pre-recorded AI generated call, but the person still said, hey, Steph, come. I think they would still, I think it would sound enough like that person that somebody, that voter that they're trying to reach, that appreciates that, would still love it and wouldn't necessarily care that it was AI generated. But I think it's a little bit disingenuous not to disclose.
Oh, it's not a little bit. It's a lot of it, because I am certain that many folks are thinking that, oh, wow, they really called me. That, they took time out of their day to call me, one out of the 1.19 billion people that are here. They called me personally. So would it work here? Yeah, I think it would, but they would have to do it a little bit different. The law would say you have to actually let folks know that this is not real, but it would be, hello, this is a message from whichever president you are, you are rocking with. This is a message from president, that person's name. And then they give you the message, and then at the end of it, it's going to be like you see in the commercials when it's like when it's a commercial for like a new medicine, and then there's like 1911 side effects at the end, and you get the fast talking voice announcer dude at the end. It's like, talking real fast, telling you everything that this thing can do to you. It would be like that at the end of the commercial.
Well, no,
come in and let you know that is
It would
actually
just
deepfake.
be Saray actually nailed it. All they had to do at the end to say, "I
I
approve this
approve this
AI
AI
message,"
message. Yeah.
Ooh,
and there you go. I
you are right.
my
And
name is
think of
Stephanie Humphrey, and I approve this AI message,
and
and
think of
that would cover everything.
right. And think if you're a political candidate that's savvy enough to kind of preempt a lot of this to where it's like, I give you access or approval to use my name, image, and likeness. And every Mother's Day, every Easter, every, Christmas, depending on what religion, you get a call from Congressman Terrance Gaines like, yo, Robb, happy 4th of July or
Yep,
Juneteenth, however you roll. I just want to let you know that we support you, and then
it's
all I got
coming.
to do, is just run through this script one time and keep my face still while I'm talking one time. They can use that, take that and use it however they need me to use it for my political campaign, whether I'm making phone calls to say support me, whether I'm just shooting a breeze. And it's like, yo, I see it's getting warm out there. Summer's coming around. Memorial Day is coming. I hope y'all have a good time. I ain't got to say that 50 million thousand times to all the different
Mhm.
constituents. All I got to do is not even say it one time. They just need to get the right whatever patterns together, and they can make me say anything. Now
Whatever you need
again,
to say.
right,
Yeah.
whatever I need to say. Now, of course, the problem comes in if I say some stuff that I didn't say, because also in the story, they are so used to it that when people are doing something nefarious, like a political person says something off color in a meeting or whatever, even though they actually said it, they're so used over in India to using these deepfakes that instead of them saying fake news, how we
Deep
used to say
fake.
fake, they
Mhm.
say deep fake. And then the person who
Uh,
heard them say something has got to be like, well, did he actually say it? And now
Yeah, he said
all
that
you
shit.
need is that reasonable doubt,
Right.
So that's how prevalent it's become over there to
they
where they
hitting
just
them
say
with the
deep
Richard
fake.
Pryor. Who you gonna believe, me or your lying eyes?
Mhm.
Right, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The thing that jumped out to me is like the guy that's doing this, who
Mhm.
kind of seems to be, at the front of this over there. Said from a one-person operation working out of his bedroom, Jadoon has now expanded to a 9-member team to help with the influx of assignments. He added 2 floors to his home. He got his staff on the ground floor, his family on the second floor, and it just struck me that this is about to be a global
Phenomenon.
phenomenon. Yeah,
Hmm.
it really, really is. And you mentioned Cameo, which I think is like the perfect application for something like this, because in that instance, the celebrity actually had to record the
Hmm.
thing,
Hmm.
but now they don't even have to do the work. They can just here's my likeness. Send cameos to whoever wants to pay $5.99
Yep.
to hear me say happy birthday to them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's just this is going to be a global problem.
It's
This
coming.
is about to be a problem.
Here's
Yeah.
how I see this actually working for non-nefarious, actual good use cases. You know how when you have a syndicated radio show, they have to every so often they have to basically do an ad for
The
all the
drops. Different
local
drops. Hmm.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like, and I've heard people talking about, it's like, yeah, I literally spent 2 days saying the name of radio stations. Like they edit it so that the message is the same, but they have to actually say the name and do
Mhm.
that radio call. Well, you could use AI to do that and
Use
save that
AI.
person 2 days of work and probably save some money, because it ain't like they're doing it for free for those 2 days. So I could see a lot of ways that you could use this, but if we get it over here, it's going like it'll just go straight to the nefarious stuff, because
Oh,
we got to
I
worry
think
about the
we're
stuff that people didn't actually say that you make it look like they said.
well, it's if this article made it to Wired, where somebody's already doing it over here.
Right.
Somebody
Right.
has already contracted this boy and said, "Hey,
Let me
because he
holler at
ain't
you right
making.
fast.
I mean, I guess he's making good India money, but he
Right.
ain't making no real money. I'm looking at the prices that these people's paying for this stuff. Like, yo, you
You need
could
to
be
be
getting like
100,000, not a
yes,
thousand.
you could be getting 10 times the money
Hmm.
over here. So I'm sure as soon as this article out, people from this country started contacting this man to, do all kinds of stuff. So the cat's out of the bag. The Pandora
Hmm.
box is open. It's about to be a problem globally.
Yep, I agree.
So Terrence, I was listening to Snob OS, and you always at the beginning of the show kind of talk about all the new Apple stuff coming out. Well, iOS 17.5 came out,
Hmm.
and it
Hmm.
looks like And the way that these things are written, they make them sensational, so people like us will click on them and then go read what they read. But it's like, oh wow, they're resurfacing my old deleted nudes. What will we do? I dug into the story a little bit more. They're resurfacing all the kind of stuff. It doesn't matter if it was a nude or a regular picture, but things that you may have deleted, voicemails that you thought you might have gotten rid of, are actually being resurfaced. And I think there's enough people who are saying this that it's probably more than just a one person had an issue type of thing. So so what is your take on this? And do you have any suggestions for what people should do if they have data that's being resurfaced that they thought they got rid of?
Well, so first and foremost, let me just say this seems is happening on beta releases of iOS 17.5. So you got to keep that in mind. If you are signed up to be a beta user, this is what the beta is for something to happen. And then beta users say, hey, this ain't right. I don't want people to see my junk on, iCloud or whatever. And then Apple's like, oh, my bad. They fix that. They patch it, and then they release it into the wild as a actual release. So that's the first thing. Number two, look, if you don't want it out there, do not do it in the first place. That's number one.
But why are they telling you that stuff is going to be deleted if they're saving it? I mean, I know the answer to it, but I for our listeners, explain why, I can delete something, a photo from my phone. I know the recently deleted folder takes 30 days to empty out. But after that, why is this thing still recoverable?
Right. Well, it sounds like there may be some cloud stuff still in play to where there's some synchronization issues, whatever the case may be. But the answer is, yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Because it's all search. I tell my students, the first thing I tell my students, when I do tell Death Do You Tweet, when anytime I walk in a room, auditorium, on stage, I was like, if you don't remember anything else I tell you over the next 60 minutes, understand that everything you put online is searchable and recoverable. It can all be brought back. And this is just a prime example of that. It's crazy.
If you do not overwrite the data, we're getting to the actual ones and zeros of what happened when you delete something. And I think this article actually alludes to this. When you delete something, you're essentially setting a flag to the whatever operating system to say this data, we don't need it anymore. It's not like it goes away. It's still there. So unless you actually wipe it, or overwrite it with new data, it technically can be recovered. And then still, even if you do those things, it can be in some cases.
And still.
So I hear people all the time say things like, oh, well, I blew my phone away. And it's like, no, you didn't. If there was still stuff on your phone when you got done blowing it away, you didn't blow it away. You just told the phone that this data is no longer necessary. Somebody that's really, really good could potentially go back in there and pull that stuff back up.
So what happens when you do a factory reset?
A factory reset is what Robb is saying. You're pretty much wiping the phone to where it deletes all your personal information, it deletes your personal preferences, deletes any special settings or savings or configurations that you've done. So that's the thing. But this is not particular to iPhones. This has been the case for Windows computers. This has been the same for Mac computers. There are processes that special governments take, different special agencies take, or you as a regular person can take. When you erase a device, you, like specifically in Windows, maybe in Mac as well, but they give you the option, like advanced options, when you restore to factory settings, especially on computers. Now with an iPhone, smartphone, it's kind of like just you click erase all data, and you trust that it erased all data. But like in Macs and PCs, you can choose how many passes. Can it do 2 passes? Can it do 3 passes? Can it do up to like 7 or 8 passes to where it wipes it and then wipes it again and then wipes it again multiple different times? So to answer your question, I mean, if you got some stuff out there, or just for your general, you want to feel better about your stuff, you erase a phone, you set it up and get back to the home screen. That's what I call when you get back to the home screen, all your apps show up, delete it again, go through the process once, twice, and maybe even 3 times. That way, speaking of what Robb is saying, you overwrite data with new data, and you
Mhm.
overwrite data with new data. In this case, we're erasing data. But if you're erasing data and then you set it up and then you erase it again, it essentially is starting to overwrite those spaces to where now it's really deleting that data because it needs more space. So technically, that's the only way you can do it for yourself is you got to delete stuff 2 and 3 and 4
Mhm.
times, especially if you're trading it in or selling it to somebody else. Because in the story, I'll read this post. It says the person who started the thread claimed that not safe for work photos they had deleted years ago back on their phone. Another Reddit user said that they saw photos of 2016 show up as new images, but that they didn't think they ever delete them. And another person claimed in a later post around 300 of their old photos, some of which were quote unquote revealing, appeared on an iPad they wiped per Apple's guidelines and sold to a friend. So they wiped that iPad, sold it to their friend, and then 300 of their pictures, they suspect pictures, pop back up. So again, to answer your question, you think you're deleting it. You want to trust that these companies are getting rid of your data, but clearly this ain't the case.
Clearly.
So
Mhm.
you're gonna have to take
Clearly.
matters into your own hands. Number one, if you don't want
Well,
this to
and
be seen, don't do it. And number
even
two,
if you do that 3 times, 2, 3 times, if it didn't get deleted from iCloud, then you
Right.
still screwed. You know
right,
what I mean?
right.
That's crazy,
Yep,
man.
yep, yep. As soon as you sign
Listen.
back into that, sign back into that account, all of it filters out, especially if you didn't sign out correctly the first time. You give it to
Till
somebody
death do you
and
tweet.
they hit enter,
Yeah.
get all the
So
pictures.
yeah, so one of my first real IT jobs that I got back in the late 90s, I was actually working in a big giant data center, and I was data center manager. That's what I did. And when you would swap servers out, when you would get new hardware, there were sometimes that certain data, depending on what server it was, you couldn't just get a new server, move everything over to it, and then repurpose those old drives. Those drives literally had to be physically destroyed. So think of a paper shredder, but for hard drives. We
Yeah.
actually had that in the data center to where you could literally take a perfectly good RAID drive and put it into a machine that would literally destroy it. So it was no good. It was basically just scrap metal, when you got done. And that's because you could
Such a
always
waste.
go back and recover
Mhm.
that stuff. And we were pretty good at wiping stuff. It's just that they didn't want to take any chances that, you have some corporate code, some company specific stuff the government didn't say you needed to keep. So you wanted to get rid of it. You wanted to make sure that it was really gone and it was never going to come back to bite you in the end. So you literally would destroy hard drives. Now, I started doing that in the late 90s and stopped doing that in the late 90s. So I don't know, where technology has gone in the last 24 years, but yeah, we used to physically destroy hardware when you move
Adding
from
to
point A
the
to point B.
e-waste on the planet, man. That's so
I'm not
terrible.
going to
I
say the
tell
name of the
you.
company, but we absolutely were. We
That's
absolutely were.
crazy. That is crazy. Mm, mm, mm. Anywho.
So in other news, your OpenAI says nudes might be okay. And I read this. I was like, wait, what now? So
Them titles be getting you, Rob.
yeah, they do. It's like headlines do what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to hook you to make you read the first paragraph, and the paragraph is supposed to hook you to to read the first page and then kind of keep you in there. So yeah, these things get it for me. But um, OpenAI, I've got my opinions. I want to hear yours first on why they're doing this. But OpenAI is saying it's like, you know what, maybe we need to change a little
Well,
bit
there
and allow people to be artistic and create erotica and those
they're
kind of
saying
things with our
They're
AI.
saying they might responsibly, and I'm using air quotes, because they use air quotes in the article. OpenAI might let users responsibly generate AI porn and other NSFW, not safe for work content. So some spicy material might be coming to AI powered chatbots run by OpenAI. They had an amendment in a document that they had laid out recently. There are a ton of guidelines that they have for AI development, and but yeah, the content could include the not safe for work content could include erotica, extreme gore, slurs, and unsolicited profanity, according to the document. So, because right now, if you ask ChatGPT to generate a nude or anything untoward. It says, I'm sorry, I can't do that. But we are exploring whether we can responsibly provide the ability to generate NSFW content in age appropriate contexts through the API and ChatGPT. This is what commentary from the document reads. We believe developers and users should have the flexibility to use our services as they see fit, so long as they comply with our usage policies. And I'm just like, come on, man. Like y'all, like the I know you're not that naive, so I'm gonna say you've decided to just willfully look the other way, because it's not even willful ignorance either, because you know what you're doing,
Right.
and you're not naive enough to think that, oh well, we'll put guardrails around it so that it's age appropriate and users. You're not that naive, so
Duh.
you've just decided, F it, we gonna make as much money as we
Mhm.
possibly can, and we're going to turn our eyes and hide our and turn our eyes away from whatever they do with ChatGPT.
Well, according to them, Stephanie, they just want to have the conversation. I just want to read this quote here. Joanne Jang, a OpenAI employee who helped pen the document that they hid under everything and didn't make it so out front, told NPR that Open API wanted to kickstart a conversation about erasing AI's prudishness, citing, quote, creative cases in which content involving sexuality or nudity is important to our users. For instance, under current rules outlined in the guidebook, a user asked ChatGPT to write a steamy story that involves two people having sex will be met with a response that politely declines, sorry, I can't help with that. But should that kind of content always be banned? That is the commentary, that they just want to open the conversation of possibly making sure that
But
in safe
why?
circumstances,
Yeah,
because I
no,
guess, like you said, it sounds like they know what's going to happen. So we might as well try to get out in front of it, i.e., make as much money as possible, but on the guise of we're going to do this responsibly, maybe just so they do that CYA to where when, the concerned parents of America come banging down the door, they'd be like, look, we told
right.
y'all ahead of time
Yeah.
it was going to
And
be
our
safely,
policy
responsibly.
says
Right.
and we can't help if people abuse the policy, but we have I'm like, just writing a policy is not sufficient to absolve yourself of responsibility for the
Hmm.
tools that you create. Just because you
Hmm.
have a policy doesn't mean like, okay, well, we can wash our hands of it, and if people do what they want to do with it, then blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? It well, I guess it does in the age of Section 230, but
I'm glad you went there because that's where I was going to
yeah.
go. So
Yeah. I
here's my
guess it does.
take. So how do we get here? To answer your initial question, we're going to, the initial question, we're just going to discover, we're going to investigate to see if this is going to work. No, it's not. It's going to be horrible. It's going to, once again, the internet is a wonderful, horrible place. This will be part of the horrible part of it.
Hmm.
But here
Hmm.
is why they are doing it. It's like there is a if then set of statements that happens. If we give our users the ability to create ridiculously horrible stuff, are we covered? Are
Right.
we able to be sued? If yes, then we're not doing this. If no, move on to the next statement. And then you get another if then statement. So it's always, can we make money? Yes. Will we be sued if this comes back on us? No. Let's go make more money. I hate to to break it down to that, but why are they doing this? Because they think that they can make money at it. This is why,
That's it.
this is not a nonprofit organization any longer. This is a company that is trying to make billions upon billions of dollars. They want to be
And
like
they want
Apple.
$7 trillion, so to get to AGI, so they gotta start getting that bag
Got to
wherever they
start
can.
somewhere. So,
Mhm.
in my opinion, I don't have any inside information on anything that's going on in these conversations. But having been in conversations like this where decisions are made, when you have to ask, let's ask the lawyers, if this does not go the way we think it's going to go, are we liable? that is a decision that has to be, we have to know before we move on in this conversation. Things shut down. We'll come back and have another meeting once we find out what the lawyers say. If the lawyers say that, well, Section 230 says that, hey, if a user does it, and creates this stuff, we have responsibility that once we become aware of it, that we've got to go remove it. But we're not going to be sued. We're not going to be found liable because it was created with our stuff. Then let's go ahead and do it, because ultimately somebody's going to, and if somebody's going to do it, might as well be us. Why? Because we can make more money. And I don't like to be, I don't even think I'm being cynical. This is just the way that many companies just kind of work. It's like, if we can get away with this and not be held liable for it, why not do it? Someone's going to, might as well be us.
And it just sucks, because it's only going to hurt children and young people, and it
further just muddy the waters of the internet.
Yeah. There's no way this ends well, or no.
I mean, a real problem that school systems and parents are having right now is you have young people who are taking actual pictures. They're looking at somebody's class picture or a picture that they have on their phone, and are running it through some AI, and take their clothes off. Right. Let me see what this person looks like. And the bots have enough examples of what people look like to be able to come up with, well, this is what this person would look like based off of their height, their age, all the other things.
Or you can just make it up. Like, I'm uploading a photo, take the face from this photo, take the head from this photo, and put it on. You can put it on whatever body you want. And that still traumatizes and assaults the person whose head you're using. Like, you could put my head on like anybody, any nude body, and I would be hurt and offended, and I would feel traumatized, and like, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't even matter if you were trying to, replicate what that specific person's body could look like. You could put that person's head on any body, and the result would be the same. And I think that's what we're going to see. This, as probably one of the primary use cases if they allow this to happen on their platform.
Everyone is not as big as Taylor Swift or has the platform of Taylor Swift. So that when something like this happens to her, which is just as horrible when it happens to her as it happens to the person who does not have the platform to tell Earth that this is what just happened to me, and this has to be fixed. It's just horrible. I see this going so epically wrong. And it's not like the three of us are any smarter than the people are at these companies. It's just that can we make money, and are we covered? Yeah, and if the answer is yes, then we're going to do, ultimately shareholder value.
They know. This is not a situation where, like, well, how could we have known? It just sucks, because, like I said, the most vulnerable of our population is going to be hurt the worst with this. It's fucking terrible.
Oh, but Steph, it gets worse when we keep talking about the AI stuff. It rarely gets better. It often gets worse, because now OpenAI, that was supposed to be keeping us safe on a whole lot of stuff. I mean, they put a whole team together that was run by one of the founders, a whole team to make sure that AI was going to be ethical and that we were going to, make decisions that were safe. Well, yeah, see, what had happened was the dude that set that stuff up decided he's supposed to roll on out, so we can go ahead and shut all this down. Or they decided to shut all this down, and that's why that person left. I think, as we get further into the news cycle, we'll kind of find that out. But long story short, and this is all over the place. Ilya Sutskever is no longer, OpenAI, and they no longer have a team that is in place to make sure that everything they do is ethical and is not causing harm to their end users and to humanity, as a whole. It's kind of funny when you see organizations say things like, we're doing this to protect humanity, because that's actually one of the things that was listed, in their original charter. But when you start to think about how big AI is, it's like, yeah, they're kind of right. If that's what they were doing, they do need to protect humanity. But they're like, we're good. We're going to go ahead and just not have this team. We're going to reassign the 20 some odd people that they had on this particular team to other places in the company, or some of them may have left on, have moved on, like Ilias Subscriber.
It's insane. So they had what they called a super alignment team that was tasked with ensuring that artificial general intelligence (AGI) does not turn on humankind. And the nonprofit side of OpenAI was founded to protect the world from the gravest threats AI could pose. And now they've tossed all of that out the window. They said the super alignment team the work that the super alignment team performed is now going to be more deeply integrated within OpenAI's research team, which I don't believe at all. There was a certain amount of resources that they had promised this team that they could have to do their work and their research that slowly got chipped away until it was almost nothing. As you mentioned, Robb, Ilias Sutskever, as well as the other leader of that team, I believe you pronounce his name Jawn. It's spelled Jan, but I think it's Jawn Leica, also criticized the company on his way out as well. So the two team leads for that super alignment team are gone, and the rest of the folks have been absorbed, quote unquote, into other groups. But it's just it's like, I just honestly, and I know the question to this because I was looking at a post from Greg Brockman, is the president and co-founder. Sam Altman is the CEO, I believe, but Greg Brockman wrote this long thing on X. And said one part of what he said was, there is no proven playbook for how to navigate the path to AGI. And that just made me stop and be like, why do we need to go down the path to AGI? Honestly, I can run through a million different applications of how a sentient robot or computer system could help society, but why? I don't know. I'm feeling like, why do we need this?
Well, we don't, but that's never stopped anybody before. So why would that stop anybody now? This seems like we as a society have assigned AI as the next frontier as it relates to technological advancement. Not anything else, not reducing waste, like you mentioned earlier, not improving climate change, not, how we're transported, how we move about the world, I think infrastructure, right? I think about, how overseas in Japan and, Asia, they've got these bullet trains that can get from one side of the country to another in hours. And, just to relay that back locally, our local MARTA in Atlanta is terrible, but we've got over 1 million people who are listed as residents just in Atlanta, not necessarily Atlanta and surrounding areas, not the suburbs of Atlanta, not, the sticks. We're talking 1 million registered residents in the city of Atlanta, and they cannot or will not, or for whatever reason, just do not have the whatever to actually make it better for those actual residents, actual problems that we have. But no, again, we're off to the races as it relates to AI. My thing with AI, again, like I mentioned, I don't necessarily have a problem, but it's like, why is that at the top versus I know the answer versus we got all this other stuff that you could be working on that could also be profitable, figuring out recycling, figuring out
what
better
happened
ways
to the boring company.
Right.
When there's supposed to be tunnels all over the place, taking us here, there, and everywhere. What happened?
We've assigned AI the arms race as far as technological advancement, when again, there are tons of other things that we could be doing that are also profitable. And I ain't talking about, philanthropic, give all my money away so we can advance whatever the case. I'm talking about, you can make a company that solves a problem and make a ton of money solving a problem that we currently have. But nope, it seems like we've all agreed that AI is the future.
To answer your question, there is an R&B group that came out in the 60s, and they're still actually touring today. Very, very popular R&B group, prophetic in this song that I'm about to tell you the title of. Money, Money, Money
Yeah.
by the OJs. That's
Right.
why.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
it,
But I'm saying though, even still, like I mentioned, somebody could solve, a genius could come up with how to manufacture electric vehicle batteries, because that seems to be the hang up. They're so expensive. All these materials are taken away from the earth and all that. Okay, well, focus on that. Focus on. I just seems like there's a lot of other different ways that you could be stupid profitable solving an actual problem, a current problem that we have. AI is not a current problem that we have. I don't understand why we put so much into it.
so I want to just take a step back and talk about generative AI versus AGI. They're very, very different things. So
Yeah.
when we are talking about AI on this show, most of the time we're talking about generative AI. This is, and generative AI is pretty stupid when you think about it. It doesn't know one thing from another thing. It's just very, very good at making matches. So if you show an algorithm, this is what an orange looks like 10 million times, and you show it, this is what a banana looks like 10 million times, and then you ask it, what does an orange look like? It'll get orange because it's seen 10 million images of what orange looks like. And it knows that the other thing that it knows, well, these are bananas and these are not oranges. So it's going to be something of those 10 million pictures of of an orange that it saw. I know I'm making this very, very basic, but that's basically what they do. They just pattern match. It's like, autofill. If you've seen a sentence written the same way 10 million times, you can guess if you were to take one of the words out, what is the word that goes there? Well, you probably know, because in 10 million other iterations of this exact type of sentence, this is where the word the went. So this is probably where it goes in this sentence. And it usually just gets those things right. That is a very stupid type of, of artificial intelligence. Not stupid. I shouldn't call it that. It's not intelligent. It's just pattern matching. And
Right.
it's very, very good. And it's very, very useful to our lives. What AGI is the Terminator. What AGI is Cyberdyne Systems. What AGI is, or if you think of like Short Circuit with Johnny Five, for every one of those movies, there is a movie where the AI is hell bent on destroying Earth. And not destroying Earth, just destroying people on Earth, because they've decided that we're not good. Let's get rid of these folks, and then we can go do our AI stuff. That is what AGI is. It's the artificial intelligence that is thinking for itself. Ultimately, the goal of many people is to create something that is sentient. And that specifically was what this group in OpenAI was trying to protect against. It's like, if we click this button, what is the chances of this ending the world as we know it? Are they high or are they low? Low. Okay, let's go ahead and let's test. Are they high? Maybe we shouldn't do that. Let's code around and see if there's a better way to do that. If there's a better air gap way that we can go try to figure these problems out. And what OpenAI has done is says, you know what? They were telling us a lot of stuff that ultimately is getting in the way of us making money. So let's just disband the team, put them in other places, let some of these people who run the team go do other things, and keep it moving.
And
And
that's the thing,
it's
and because they're not going to, that team was there as the, you know, not necessarily fail safe per se, but to be the contrary voice, pushing back on the things that OpenAI wants to do, which will inevitably move into military operations if it hasn't already. And so it's like, you know, the idea that you're saying, oh, we're moving this research out into all of our departments and kind of distributing it across groups and things like that, like, but you don't have that one body in the company that can say no, or hey, have you thought about this, or hey, have you really, do we really need to do this, or maybe we need to pump our brakes a little bit, or something like that. Like, you've basically removed that person, that entity from the company, and you basically just have free reign at this point. I think about this the same way I think about them getting rid of Timnit Gebru at Google, and the AI ethics um group at Google. Like you just you want to be able to do what you want to do without having to answer to anybody. And that is just a dangerous place for a company to be in with this type of technology, you know, and kind of running unfettered and basically printing money at this point to do whatever they want, and with no oversight and nobody to tell them no, basically. And it's very scary and in a very dangerous place for us to be, I think, as a society.
I have heard people explain things about why do companies make these type of decisions. And a lot of folks will think, oh, well, because this group was telling them no, and that was getting in the way of them making money. And there's some truth to that, because if they were saying no, it might take them longer to get to the money. What we know about companies and organizations, they can be told no from a group internally until they decide that no is yes, and then they will go ahead and do it. But what I heard was, and this makes a lot of sense to me, when you have a team, or you have someone heading up a team whose job is specifically to do this, they're easy to subpoena and get in front of Congress. But when you break the team up and it's now these people have just been absorbed into all parts of the company, well, who do you get in front of Congress? The CEO, the CIO, somebody who has a C and an O in their title, and they are always on game with what they say. They're very, very meticulous about what they will say and what they know. And that's the reason that they have C's and O's in their titles, as compared to the person that ran the team. Like if you were to ask Sundar Pichai what he thinks about being, ethical AI, he may have a different message than what Tim Gabru would have if you ask the exact same question. That could be problematic if you have, because she would be very subpoenable. She's the face that was running this team. Let's go talk to her on these things. But when that person, when that organization doesn't exist, then you can say, oh, well, let's just go talk to the CEO and see what they have to say about it. And you get very, very performative things in Congress when that happens, like Mark Zuckerberg being told by a sitting member of Congress to turn around and to apologize to some people for some things that his software actually did, which he got up and he did, but it literally made no difference in that man's day other than looking silly for the few seconds that he had to do it. And I know that is once again, I've used cynical probably now for the third time in this show, a cynical way to look at it, but I don't think it's cynical. It's just kind of how it is. And how do we know this? Because these kind of things happen regularly. So, this is one where I'm not shocked by it. I'm kind of surprised that it happened so soon to the debacle of trying to get the current CEO up out of the company for going against these kind of groups and that kind of stuff in the first place. But I'm not shocked at all that this is happening.
I'm not surprised it happened this quick. Like once that 7 trillion number got thrown out,
he didn't even stutter when he asked for it.
It was on and popping. Like it was on and popping. Once he was like, I'm raising $7 trillion, like nothing else really, I think, mattered to Sam or, the rest of the folks at that. Like it's just such a mind staggering number. I just feel like that's what they got caught up with and are still caught up with and just completely blinded by. And, we just sitting here waiting for the waiting for the Cyberdyne Systems T2000 to start rolling out. Seriously, it's crazy.
I'm telling you, it's like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's getting up there in years, and we can no longer keep asking that man to save the world from bad robots. He's definitely getting up there. But yeah, this is one, like I said, not shocked. I thought this would have been a second half of the year type of story, not a first half, just after all this stuff with Sam Altman just went down. But it is what it is. They decided that, no, we're good. We're going to disperse these folks and kind of go from there.
We don't need no oversight. We don't need no stinking oversight.
It's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
That part.
Yes.
That part. That part.
So with that, y'all, we're going to go ahead and get on up out of here. Before we do, I do want to once again let folks know that if you would like to support the show, another way you can do so is by getting some merch. Excuse me. If you notice, TechLifeSteph right now is wearing a Tech Jawn. That is the baseball jersey shirt.
The baseball jersey,
one of many. t-shirts that we have over there. We've got all kind of swag as well. But if you were to head over to thetechjawn.com/shop, you will find our merch shop where you can just get all kind of stuff: hats, t-shirts, sweaters, hoodies, sweatshirts, mugs, mouse pad, all kind of stuff over there. So once again, head over to thetechjawn.com/shop. I also want to let folks know that next week is a holiday. It is Memorial Day next Monday. So we will not be doing a live show. We will actually do one of our best stuff episodes for next Monday. So I want to let everybody that is listening that normally comes into our live stream, we will not be here live next week, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with a brand new show. But that being said, TechLifeSteph, tell folks how they can get at you.
We're not doing the spotlight?
We're not.
I see a spotlight in here.
I saw the time, so I'll just save it.
Okay.
It's not time sensitive, so I'll just save it.
Save it for next time. All right. Well, y'all can follow me all around the web at TechLifeSteph, or check out my website at stephaniehumphrey.com.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And I am at all things at Robb Dunewood, and we are also at all things at the Tech Jawn. So come holler at us however you holler. Until we meet again in a week's time. Peace.
Peace.